Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I know we've had a very sort of light day thus far, but I'm going to get into this. This is a little bit of a technical issue. I represent the city of Fairfax, which has a above-ground oil tank storage site called the Pickett Road Tank Farm site, and that has been an environmental problem for about 50 years, and particularly for the last 20 years, and especially for the last 18 months with numerous spills and petroleum discharges. And this year we brought legislation that was specifically targeted at getting at that issue, and it was permissibly drawn to the city of Fairfax. It passed this body 40-0. It passed the House 100-0, and a House bill sponsored by my brother delegate also passed with a similar margin. The amendment by the governor essentially strips out all the regulations under that bill that would require that locality, the site in that locality, all it would do is require it to come up to current code as passed in 1992. It would take out the exemption and gave them 10 years to phase that in. This strikes out all of that and simply puts in a frankly meaningless recommendation that the State Water Control Board should, quote, take a look at this issue. When I asked for more information from the governor's office, I was then passed on to the Attorney General's office, and I was told that this was an issue involving, quote, equal protection, unquote, which was news to me because I always thought equal protection analysis referred to people and not above-ground storage tank yards. So that, to me, was a surprise. I was also told that there was, quote, no rational relation for making Fairfax City alone in having this regulation. However, it's the city that has these outdated storage tanks on its site, and it's the city and its neighboring neighborhoods which have suffered for years of these oil discharges. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't claim to have a lot of credibility on this issue because everyone knows I'm a politician, unfortunately. However, I've had a lot of folks that have written letters in support of keeping the legislation as is, and with your leave, I'd like to read a little bit from one of the head of the Mantua Civic Association, who's a retired Rear Admiral who lives immediately adjacent to this property. Retired Rear Admiral James Hinkle, President of Mantua Civic Citizens Association. This is a letter dated April 5th, actually written to the governor. It says, Dear Governor McDonald, we met briefly during your campaign. It was a pleasure to meet you, and you had our vote. We are very happy to have you in the governor's office. This is Rear Admiral Hinkle, not me, but I like the governor. That is until you amended Senate Bill 843 that was permissibly drawn to the city of Fairfax Tank Farm on Pickett Road in my backyard and the backyard of the members of the Mantua Citizens Association. Senator Petersen and Delegate Bullitt found a positive solution to the many problems the tank farm has experienced in recent years. It would not have affected the oil industry and the rest of the Commonwealth, just the one that has a series of spills, leaks, and environmental and economic impacts and created a threat to the public health and safety of our neighborhood. This is a public safety issue, and your amendment to your bill, it would appear you have come down on the wrong side of this issue. Your amendment basically declaws the legislation and creates the illusion that anything is ever going to be done to create a culture of safety at this facility. Ironically, the legislation as presented to you for signature basically just asked the facility to come up to current standards for facilities of this kind and very generously, maybe too generously, gave them 10 years to meet those standards. Governor, this is a local issue. Allow the legislation passed by both the House and Senate unanimously to help this community achieve some semblance of assurance that we can sleep well knowing that our public health and safety and environment that surrounds and flows through our neighborhood will be held to higher standards in the future. And again, this is from Rear Admiral Hinkle, and I think he stated it much better than I could. And so having said that, asking that we reject this amendment, I move that we adopt the amendment.
Thank you, sir. The question is, shall the Senate adopt the governor's recommendation? All in favor of the motion will record the votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
17, noes 23.
Ayes 17, noes 23.